So I'd like to call up Dolly Creighton, if she could come up to help us out with the next presentation. She'll be our facilitator for it.
Okay, nikso koa. Nistua kok Siipii'namayaakii. Greetings, friends and relatives. I'm going to try to be very formal. I'm not used to being on a camera. This is making me a little nervous. So I'm going to I wasn't on the agenda, but all of a sudden I was this morning, so I'm not quite prepared. So I'm going to try my best in just sharing some information about this gathering and what our intentions are and why all of you are here. And I'm going to be speaking in Blackfoot, and I'll try to interpret what I said, because this is what to me, this is what we're here for. This initiative for this gathering has to do with gathering and honoring our ancestors through innovation and vision. It's about understanding the content of our language. And the project is about gender equality and what that has to do, how that relates to our culture, who we are. So we're here to create awareness and share information. So I guess what I'd like to start is just about sharing. Again, I'll speak in English, and then sometimes I will speak in Blackfoot, and I'll try to interpret what I said. I guess for most of you know that we have some, all of you are here. I guess you're here because you're supposed to be here. And those who are not here are not supposed to be here. That's how I see it. At the head table, you see our elders, our knowledge keepers. And that's what I refer to them, as knowledge keepers. Our knowledge keepers, to me, I can refer to them in English as their walking encyclopedias. They have knowledge, they have information that has been transferred to them from their ancestors, and also through their lives, their learnings, and now they become our teachers. So in understanding our elders' knowledge, as it's transferred or it's transmitted intergenerationally from generation to generation, this is done through storytelling. Our knowledge keepers don't share their knowledge and their information by lecturing us. They will tell us a story. That's how it's transferred. I had an uncle, Frank Weaselhead, and he asked me at one time, "Kito meikaksi pummakip?" And I said, "No, I'm not even there yet. Geez, I'm not even in that position yet." In English, he said, "Have you ever transferred?" And I said, "No," because to me, transfer in English language, it means to transfer a sacred bundle, to transfer, to become in a sacred society, or as a pipe holder. That's how I understood pummakshin. And I said, "No, I have never done that." And he said, "No, you have." Kita pummak kanexistikusi. So if you interpret pummakshin is to transfer. So he explained it to me is you transfer knowledge every day of who you are to your children, to people you're in connection with, to people you meet. You share your knowledge and your information. You're transferring knowledge. So that was quite a learning for me. So I think about that when I hear the word transfer, transmitting knowledge intergenerationally to our descendants, to our children, people we know. So the amount of shared knowledge, I'm going to say today, it's declining. And that's because the loss of a holistic connection and cultural contacts, which undermines the integrity of the elders, of our knowledge keepers. See, the numbers of elders who have all this knowledge and information, they have what we call how we transfer our knowledge is through it's oral knowledge, it's storytelling. We don't read it in a book. We hear it. We hear it from our knowledge keepers. So when you say that oral tradition is a resource, as our knowledge keepers when they pass away, we need to preserve such information. And that's to me, that's the most important thing. And when I say it's diminishing, that's what I'm talking about. The last research I did was in our community, Kainai. There's about 250 some people who are over the age of 65. And that's diminishing. They're the ones that have all this knowledge and information. And when they all pass away and that knowledge is not shared, who's going to tell us those stories? I think about that. So I look at myself and I say, oh my goodness, I better start learning about all this, because when all my knowledge keepers here, my elders here, when they go, I'm going to have to do that. So I need to do my own homework. I need to listen to those stories. So when I talk about storytelling, about teachings, I'm talking about oral tradition. And that articulates, or that brings human history, human practices of communication of our culture, of our traditions, and visual understanding of the past. We heard Terry tell us about that from her perspective, from her teachings, her learnings. So oral knowledge really, it generates a document of events and communications that brings together cultural practices such as personal and practical experiences and perceptions of traditional life. So now we talk about knowledge keepers, elders. Well, who are they? What is their role? Well, what I was taught, that elders are chosen as knowledge keepers, and they're given the responsibility of passing on their knowledge to the future generation. However, to be called a knowledge keeper in our society, an elder must be recognized and respected for their selfless contribution to their people. And they must be valued for their knowledge gained from generations of stories and their own life experiences. Elders are the educators of our children, our youth, our adults, and our communities. They're storytellers and historians. And each elder possesses an invaluable, distinct oral knowledge that encompasses wisdom, perception, innovations, and practical experiences associated with our communities. So what I'd like to do is share why we're here, why we have these knowledge keepers here, and why we have all other people here are supposed to be here. So I'm just going to make reference to that. Some of our people that are here, I'm not going to refer to them as our clients. I'm going to refer to them from this perspective as our students. And we're talking about transferring knowledge. When you transfer knowledge, there's a teacher and there's a student. And this is how I see it. So these students that we're working with in our program, that participate and attend our program at Wellness Centre, are there to take this knowledge and this information from our staff with all their knowledge and information. But most importantly, what we're trying to promote in our program is to promote what Terry was talking about, and because we believe, because of who we are, as Siksikaitsitapi, as Siksikaitsitapi, we believe that that's the foundation of our way of life, is who we are. It's our identity. So this is the foundation of our program, is bringing in our knowledge keepers to share their information to our students. And they tell stories, and they share their life experiences. When a knowledge keeper shares that information, he's not going to tell you, this is what I'm specifically want to talk to you about, and it's called identity. He's not going to say that. He's going to tell a story. He's going to share his experiences, and it's up to you as a student to take something from that story. Each of us are different. Each of us will learn something. What I learn from that information will be different from the person sitting next to me, what they learn. And that's the to me, I think that's the most beautiful experience that we share with our knowledge keepers. So just very quickly, I'm not going to take a lot of your time, just to kind of give so we're all talking the same language here, not technically, but we're talking about a topic, and I'm going to just talk about culture. In the English dictionary, culture is defined as a way of life of a group of people that separates them from other groups of people. Culture is a lifestyle. It's a way of life. Siipii'namayaakii nuksahkui tanapu tu economia ni sitapiiks. Kishpanapu tu aya ni patapiisin. So in our culture, we refer to culture as kipatapiisin. So these groups of people were all put on this planet with their own culture. We were put here with our own culture, our own way of life. And really being specific, a way of life in the Blackfoot way. In every culture, it consists of, number one is language. Any culture. Language. Then it consists of values. Values are what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. That's what values are. And in our culture, we have some very strong values. That's what guides us in how we live our lives. The next one is from those values. Then we have beliefs. We have belief systems. And I'm going to refer to as belief systems. We can refer to them as philosophies, as stories. Those beliefs are, a common one would be when we refer to us, ni sitä piupi. Kistunno näit siipaamon to make takiup. Ishkanatista piitsi. That's a belief. We believe in a higher power, that we were put here. We didn't just appear here like this. We were put here for a purpose. Those are our beliefs. In our beliefs, in our value, in our philosophies, our belief systems, we have stories about where we come from, who we are, how we were created, creation. We have our own stories. We have our own astronomy about the sun and the moon and the stars and the galaxy and the dipper and the morning star and the evening star. All those are beliefs, and there are stories behind all of those. It explains creation. We have beliefs. We have beliefs that all that is created that we see was put here for a purpose. All the different creatures, the ones in the water, the ones that walk on the ground, the ones that fly. And as you hear some of the elders pray, they make reference to those. Kistunno na no isipo tods no sakoi kistunno na ni Siksikaitsitapi of Siksikaitsitapi itsi amuskai kistunno na skini pia esta matsuts matsukustuitsita pessup itistapitsi istipatapi pa itsipo toki no sakoi matta esta matsuts paamuksi muksi ätseni koki kaahsen nonix annenistapi animeistu to muksi kitohkanani pinuusti päätäpi opeitsi puuttui naatuussi kukomikissum. Muksi kanaamianissi äkistä päässyt nagita päässä piupei kuukussi kakatuussiksi. Anniksi matkanäätsini kaassi. Istuutista piitsi nuukistunnunkin päätäpi istu tohoppi. Anniske matkatuutsi kistunnuun itseni kaassi ja aamus naatuappi. So these stories and philosophies, and when we hear them, it explains and it talks about where we come from. It talks about our astronomy of where our medicine pipes come from, what we believe in. Those are beliefs. So I talked about language, talked about values, talked about beliefs, belief systems. We believe that we all come from a higher power. In other cultures, they call that higher power different names. But we call that higher power giver of life, our maker. Beliefs. Then we have traditions and customs. So traditions and customs are what our activities or methods that we practice because of what we believe in and because of what our values are. So we practice these traditions, these customs. Simple traditions that we saw this morning of our elder that is smudged, that's a tradition. That's a custom. And if he went on to explain why he used sweetgrass, that's a tradition. Other cultures have their own traditions and customs. We have traditions like agogats and our Sundance. We have other customs like ceremonial sweats or the sweat lodge. We have our dances, our arts. those are all traditions and customs. How we dress, those are traditions and customs. And in each of these traditions and customs, we have protocols. There is, if you want to call them rules, there are certain things you can do and you can't do. This is the proper way of doing it. So language, values, beliefs, belief systems, traditions, customs, and attached to that is protocols. That's what every culture has. Unfortunately, something happened to our people a long time ago, and the intention was to take that, and that's who we are, is our culture. So any culture, that's who we are, our identity. And like I said, unfortunately, our ancestors experienced some other culture came and taught as a new culture. Not in a very good way. And because of that, we're kind of lost. I'm going to say lost. We started to lose, who am I? I think that's where we are today. It's been about 7 generations ago in this country when that happened. Maybe in our community it's 5th generation. And I say that because for my own life, my grandparents, my great-grandparents were not affected. My grandparents, my grandfather went to residential school. My parents went to residential school. I went. I have children. I have grandchildren. I have great-grandchildren. 6 generations in my life. Transferring that of who I am. It was interrupted, huge interruption somewhere. But I count my blessings. I'm grateful. Personally, I didn't lose my language. I still speak my language. That is my first language. But I learned the language of that other culture. I learned their way. I learned their values. I learned their beliefs. I learned their stories. I learned their traditions and their customs, protocols to these. But I had to go out and find mine, those specific. I know my beliefs. So some of us are caught in between, some of us are totally. And to me, this is how I see, just in my own personal life and in my work, in working with our people, not just with Kainai, but I've worked across Canada, and I've visited every province, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. I worked in Alberta with Health Canada, and I visited all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis, and I identified that we have a lot in common. Who we are, and our losses, and the impacts and effects that had on us. And today we see them big time. So I just want to talk about, we're talking about identity. When we're talking about healing, I use the word healing in the same English word as change. Something happened to us and we changed. And this is where we are. So when we can start to understand ourselves and say, this is not who I want to be. That's who I am, and that's where I want to go. It's another change. So if I use the word change in the same context as healing, to heal, to change from this to that. And to me, when we talk about that change, the first thing we look at is Who am I? I know Dr. Fox talks about this too, but as I've listened to the knowledge keepers here, I know Charlie here, he can speak both languages, and when he shares that information, he'll share it in English. And he asked his students, and Terry has said that too, he asked his students, and I say that too, to identify that, going from here to here, is the most important question is, who am I? Who am I? Where am I going? What do I want? Those three questions, I think, are really, if we can answer them to ourselves, who am I? And when we say, who am I, in that other culture, if somebody asked me, who am I would say, I am Adelaide Creighton, better known as Dolly, and I'm from the Blood Reserve, and I have 3 children, and I have 7 grandchildren, I have great grandchildren, I work for Kainai Wellness Centre, and I make this much money, and this is what my role is, and this is where I live. But if I was going to say, who am I with my own people, this is who I am. I'm going to say, okay, nistuwako Siipii'namayaakii. Numputuutuu Kainai. Ninna anstat saan, niksista anstat jäänistä vastaamaaki. Ninna uksistaan steini makeistu, uksistaan steini Siipii'namayaakii. Numputuutsitapi ja käpukeeksi. Again. So in Blackfoot, I just said, this is who I am. These are my parents. These are my grandparents. I come from this clan. I'm from Kainai. That's all you need. So there's a difference between who am I. In another culture, you say our identity makes reference to what I've done in my life, what I own. I live here, I have 2 houses, I have 2 sections of land, I have 200 head of cattle, and I drive 2 trucks, and I am the regional director, and that's how in another culture that would be when you ask them, introduce yourself. But when we come to our culture, this is how we introduce ourselves. That is who we are. So this is what to my colleagues, our team from Kainai Wellness Centre, and this program that we're doing, our students. Where was Hassan? He's kind of our lead role for this program. And our students know who he is. This program that we have is to transfer knowledge, different types of knowledge. Hassan studied the brain, how the brain works and how it affects us. He's called a psychiatrist. He's also an MD, a doctor. So he studies the human being, the body and the brain. We have a psychologist, and she studies the behavior of human beings. We have mental health therapists. Most of them are social workers. They have BSWs, and they've studied social behaviors of human beings. All of these people, they're there to share their information, and it's called counseling and therapy for people to understand who am I. So for me, the way I see it, just in my work, in my own work experience, my own life experience, like I said, in the white world, I would tell them, well, this is my background. My first profession is in nursing, then in social work, then in mental health therapy. Then in psychosomatic therapy, which is studying the body-mind communication, how the human being, how all those connect mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. That's my latest and another culture degree. So we all together in the Wellness Centre. This is what we do to help our students how to help themselves. And to me, the most exciting part of this is what I just explained, is knowing who am I. Because as human beings, we're all looking for understanding. We're all looking for just understand me. But first, I need to understand myself. Why am I the way I am? And once we can identify that, then we can say, now I know why I am the way I am, and I don't want to be that. I want to be that because that's who I am, and I want to change. That's called a healing journey. Each of us have that decision to make. And I think those questions of who am I will answer that for each of us. We find the answers. So I just wanted to share that because our knowledge keepers, they have all that information. They've been there, done that. And we're all walking our own healing journeys. We're learning. Every day, the people we meet are our teachers. We're also teachers. When people talk to us, they learn something from us, and we learn something from them. So in this, while we're all here, is all that is to talk about our identity. And our knowledge keepers are going to be here to share that. Because in that culture of who we are, our language, our values, our beliefs, our philosophies, our stories, our traditions, our customs, and the protocols that are related to these traditions and customs, these are ours. One of my teachers once told me, Kistunno na käänawa ikstona tatsimma piuskuna tapiu sakitasti sakiawaku katsup. Hakata piamo sakia istotsimmiks na tuapi. One of my teachers once said the blood Kainawa are proud people. They're a very strong people. I can say this, he said, we, Kainawa, are one people that we haven't lost who we are. We have not lost. We have totally lost our language. We still have our beliefs. We still have our values that we try to teach. We still have our beliefs and our philosophies and all our customs and traditions. We are one nation that has never lost our Sandman sagukats. We still practice that. That's a very strong tradition. And we look at life from a holistic way. We don't just look at the mind or the emotions. We believe that we're a whole person. And you hear us when we say that. When we pray, we'll say, ayaw sa pagkitabiwas. It means a whole person. We are a whole person. We're human beings. Other cultures didn't see us as that. Somebody just referred to us as creatures not too long ago, but anyways, we are human beings, and that's what we believe in. We are made up we have a mind. We can think. We have emotions. We have feelings. We have a physical body, and we have spirit. And to us, that was very confusing, because in our beliefs, we believe that we have spirit, and that spirit comes from our Creator. That Creator is a part of us. It's who we are. It's not out there in the sky, in the clouds somewhere. It's right here, a part of us. And that's what gives us strength. That's what gives us life. That spirit is your breath of life. And when that spirit decides to go back home, you no longer have that breath. You die. I have to say that. And we also believe that not us that we have spirit. We believe that everything we see that we don't see has spirit. Itapiwasu. In our Blackfoot language, we have no such a word as it. When we make reference to all of creation, they're alive. Amo mistis, amo nina, amo akiwa. They're alive. Because we believe they have spirit. And that's why we treat them with respect. In our culture, that was our values, that we respect all of creation. We have traditions in showing that respect. When we're going to take from Mother Earth, you don't just go and you pluck out a piece of sage or sweetgrass. We do a little ceremony. You give tobacco, and you thank Mother Earth for putting that there. You're going to use it now. Those are traditions and customs. So there's so many of these things that this is who we are. And for in this program, we're trying to promote that as the foundation of healing. The past is the past. Something happened to us, but we can't stay there. And the only way we can change those negative impacts and effects that we see today because of our confusion of not knowing who am I. We're trying to be somebody we're not. And we're tested by this mainstream society, all their customs and traditions and their way of life. And we're following that way of life, and yet we don't know, why am I doing this? It's creating chaos in my life. So we're trying to teach that to our students, my colleagues, and the knowledge keepers. And this is why, to me, this gathering, and in our culture, part of our beliefs, we are all human beings. In our culture, way back, our traditional ways, every human being in a family, in a clan, in a community, they had a role. Everyone was important. Everyone contributed, and it was called survival. In order for us to survive, everyone pitched in. Everyone had a role, regardless of who they were, but they know who they are. They were important. The men, the women, the children, the grandparents. We're talking about gender. They had a role. I asked around, and they said, yeah, they had a role. It was mainstream society that came and started to label, not only label us, but all their labels of the, what is it, JLBT or whatever, ALBCDE, you know. I can never remember that, but they label us. In our culture, we didn't label or judge each other. Everybody was important. In Blackfoot, matayuhkiitsemauhiks. Matsikkistutuauhiks. We didn't treat them differently. We didn't think they were different. We didn't think they were weird. They're human beings. They were part of the family. They're part of the community. They had a role. They were important. That was our culture. So, maybe I'm talking too much, but I just wanted to bring that out too. So we're all talking the same language in this gathering. And what we want to promote here is that to our students. And some of us here are students. I still consider myself a student. I don't profess to know everything about anything, but I have my teachers. So we're here, our whole life, our journey is learning, is learning, is learning. There's a story. When I was in my studies in psychosomatic therapy, we study how we think and how we create our own emotions because of what we think. And how those emotions start to affect our physical body. That's psychosomatic therapy. So how we're thinking, we create those thoughts come from our beliefs. Those thoughts come from our identity, who we think we are. And they create emotions and those feelings, whether they're negative or positive. But I learned in my studies that human beings have 65,000 thoughts a day. And 85% of those thoughts are from yesterday, from the past. Maybe I'm going to take it easy on you. 95% of those thoughts are negative. That's where we are today. So we have the power in our culture. Our power comes from within, our spirit, where we come from. We were given that power, that power to make choices and to think. There's no other being on this planet that has that power to think. Yes, other, if I may say, creatures, they do things by instinct. We have instinct too. But we can think and make decisions. We can make choices. So our thoughts become our emotions become our intentions. And then our intentions become our actions. And that's what we become. So we create. We have that power to do that. But somehow we lost that power. We want to take it back of who we are. So I'm not here to teach you psychosomatic therapy, but that's what it is. And I could relate that to our way of life. When I started to take this course on my 4th year, I thought, how come I already know this? How come I resonate with this? Then I realized that that's our way of life, only in a different concept, different language. That's who we are, and the mainstream society calls it quantum physics. But that's what I learned. I compared the two. So right now, am I out of time? Right now, what I'd like to do is in psychosomatic therapy, we also study energy. And this energy is many names. Consciousness, it's everything we see or we don't see is energy. So we all bring here our own energy, the energy in this world, in this room. And in our culture, we call it spirit. And that's why consciousness, that's why one of our traditions, our customs, our beliefs, when you go somewhere, when you're going to leave, you call your spirit. So you don't leave all your stuff back there. You gather yourself and you go home. Otherwise, if you keep doing that, one of my elders told me that this other culture, they do that. They go here, they leave their consciousness, their energy all over the place. So you always stay whole. That's one of our traditions. So I guess what I wanted to create here, we're all here in this room. We all come here with our own energy, and we're going to bring it together to a common understanding. Terry's presentation, what I'm trying to share, what the elders are going to share, a common purpose why we're here, as students, as teachers, as Siksikaitsitapi, as Kainai. So what I want to do right now is just, I already prepared our students. In our culture, we say nistuakok. And nistuakok is a powerful word. It means I am. I am. Well, I'm not saying this is what they call me, this is how they label me, this is what I own. It says I am. It's a powerful word. I am. This is who I am. Nistuakok. And my Blackfoot name, I use it because that describes that who I am has a story to it. And it gives me guidance and direction in my journey in this life. Each of us have that. We have our own journeys. And in our culture, we have that nistuakok. When we say nistuakok, and then we meet somebody, we'll say, "Tagakistu." In English, they say, "My name is," and what is your name? But in Blackfoot, we'll say, "This is who I am. Who are you?" So I'm just going to say that, and our students, they know this. So when I'm going to ask them, "Tagakistu," they're going to tell you. Okay, tagakistu.
Okay, nyt täällä kun nistuakok papema seet maka.
Tagakistu.
Still a no namakka.
Nistuakok Toby first charge.
What do I say? Nistuakok. Clark Mills.
Stunukok horse, red crow.
How do you say it? Nistuakok. Misty McNabb.
Nistuakok Matumina.
Nistuakok Elaine.
Nistuakok Tamara.
Nistuakok Dana.
Stunukok, very good dagger.
I already know who you are.
Okay, Nistuakok Katapi.
Stunukok Siipii'namayaakii.
Sandanico book charge. Sandanico book charge.
Nishuanakok Leon Gross Benchable.
Stuatok Pakanakapi.
Stunukok pitastako.
Stunukok Sandra Shouting.
Nistanok Okata.
You know me.
Nistuakok Kainai.
Nistuakok Nellie Eli.
Nistuakok Siksikaitsitapi.
Thank you. Just wanted to share with you our students. This is what they're learning, and to us, this is the foundation and basics of what our knowledge keepers and what my colleagues from the Wellness Centre in this program, what we want to promote and create that awareness. I know this afternoon we'll have some more discussion with our knowledge keepers in this identity of our roles and how this relates to gender of equality.